The BioLab Basement. I work nights at a mid-sized biomedical research facility in Virginia, one of those post-COVID holdouts that never quite reopened fully. Half the departments were mothballed. Wing B's lights haven't turned on in over a year. They say it's due to funding cuts. I've stopped asking questions. I'm not a scientist or a guard. I'm just the guy who makes sure the HVAC doesn't die, the lights stay on, and the security panels don't trip alarms because a raccoon farted near a back exit. I like the quiet. No coworkers, no small talk. Just me, a cart, and a clipboard. At least, that's how it used to be. A few weeks ago, I started getting dispatch pings about temperature fluctuations in Wing C, the old lab wing. It used to house a virology program. After COVID, they sealed it off and decommissioned the lower levels, basement levels. According to the current blueprints, they don't even exist anymore. Just a slab foundation. I know they were there. I've been here 6 years. I've seen the freight elevators that used to go down past floor 1. They're locked now and welded shut. I'd get temperature alerts near the old freight elevator shaft. Like something was running power down there. Like something was alive. At first I chalked it up to faulty sensors, but then I started hearing it. Low, muted, like a whisper carried through ductwork. I'd be walking down the corridor, fluorescent lights flickering like they do, and suddenly I'd catch it. Words, voices, not in any language I recognized, just murmuring. Rhythmic. Sometimes. I swear it said my name. I tried recording it on my phone, but on playback, there's nothing. Just static, or silence. One night, I left my phone recording on the floor vent and walked away. When I came back, the phone had moved 6 inches, and the file had been deleted. I told myself it had glitched out, but then the vent started leaking condensation. Thick, moist air. The kind you feel in a basement. And it reeked of something, not mold, not gas, something faintly sweet and metallic, like rusted coins and rotting fruit. I filed a maintenance request. They said the system was clean. No leaks. AVAC sensors showed nothing unusual. But I knew what I smelled, and I knew what I heard. I started making rounds with my flashlight on. Even when the overheads were fine, it made me feel less exposed. Last Monday, I walked by the freight elevator shaft, same as always. But this time, the maintenance access panel beside it had been pried open. I never touched that panel. No one is supposed to. Inside was a mess of wires, and one blinking red light. Slow, like a pulse. I leaned in, and that's when I heard it. Not through the vent this time. From below. Someone, no. Multiple people. Chanting. Low. Droning. Words like prayer, but too distorted to understand. And then one voice rose above them all. Clear, human. It whispered, "You don't belong here." I stepped back so fast I slammed into the opposite wall. I aimed my flashlight down the shaft. All I saw was blackness. And then, a shadow moved across the lower edge of the shaft. Not crawling, not climbing, just moving horizontally, like it was walking past, one floor down. But there's no floor down there. Not anymore. I reported it to security. They reviewed the CCTV, the hallway camera. It froze for 7 minutes during my patrol. No footage, just a gray screen. The system timestamp shows corrupt frame. That's all. I asked if they'd ever been in the basement levels. The guard shrugged and said, "There's no basement, man. That part of the building was filled in." I asked, "So where did the sounds come from?" He looked at me like I was joking. "You've been here too long, bro. Don't let this place get in your head." But it was already too late for that. That night, I dreamed of steel corridors, white tiles, footsteps behind me that I couldn't turn fast enough to catch, and voices whispering through walls that were somehow alive, breathing. When I woke up, my boots were wet, the soles stained with a gray dust. I live alone. My boots were by the door. I hadn't stepped outside. I didn't go back to Wing C the next night. I stayed in the admin section, fixing some ceiling panels. But around 2:14 a.m., I got another ping. Air pressure anomaly. Wing C. I ignored it. 10 minutes later, temp fluctuation. Fright access elevator. Then, at 2:29 a.m., my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. No caller ID. I picked it up. Silence. Then, "You belong to us now." Click. I dropped the phone. I didn't sleep after that. Just stared at my ceiling until sunrise. I told myself I was done. No more late night rounds near Wing C. But yesterday, they reassigned my route. New orders. Nightly inspections. Wing C. 2 a.m. I tried to push back. They said it was non-negotiable. I asked who signed the order. The supervisor frowned. "I don't know. It came from below." I stared at him. "You mean from upper management?" He looked confused. "No, I mean literally. From below. Last night, I had no choice. I had to go back to Wing C. What I found down there wasn't a basement. It was something else entirely. And now I'm not sure I can ever leave." I arrived at Wing C just after 1:45 a.m. The halls were colder than usual. The fluorescent lights buzzing faintly like a distant swarm of insects. My footsteps echoed oddly, hollow, like the floor beneath was missing. The freight elevator door stood locked, just like always. But the maintenance panel beside it was open again. The same wires, the same red blinking light. Except this time, a soft humming vibrated through the metal. I reached out, my fingers trembling. The panel seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. As I touched the wires, a rush of cold air blasted up from the shaft, carrying that sickly sweet metallic scent. I swallowed hard. Suddenly, the humming changed into voices, clearer this time. Whispered fragments, like a chorus of lost souls. "Come down. Belong. Join us." My breath fogged in the chilly air. I stepped back, heart pounding. The hallway behind me seemed to stretch, twisting impossibly. I blinked. The far end of the corridor wasn't concrete anymore. It was endless darkness. And then, the elevator door creaked open. No light inside, just blackness. Like staring into the void. I had no reason to enter, but my legs moved anyway. The elevator felt wrong. No cables, no buttons, just the faint vibration of something alive beneath my feet. As the door slid shut behind me, the lights flickered, then plunged into complete darkness. I fumbled for my phone, but it was dead. No signal, no light, only the sound of my own breathing, ragged, uneven. Then came a faint tapping. From the walls? The floor? I couldn't tell. The elevator shuddered, and I felt the drop, but no floor moved beneath me. I was falling. The tapping turned to scratching, low and urgent, like nails on metal. My hands pressed the panel where the emergency button should be. Nothing. Just a cold surface. A whisper floated in the dark. "You belong here now." The elevator stopped. The doors slid open, revealing not the lab, but a corridor lined with rusted pipes and dripping water. I stepped out, every nerve on fire. The air smelled of damp earth and decay. My flashlight flickered on. The walls were covered in peeling paint and strange symbols. I didn't recognize them. Ahead, the corridor stretched endlessly. Faint light flickered from a doorway far ahead. I started walking. My footsteps echoed. Then I heard them, the whispers, everywhere. Join us. You belong. I reached the doorway. Inside was a vast chamber, lit by a sickly green glow from unseen sources. Tables were scattered, covered in old lab equipment, but twisted, like some experiment gone wrong. And there, in the center, was a hole in the floor, leading down into deeper darkness. The whispers grew louder, almost pleading. I looked down. I should have stepped back, but I didn't. I climbed down. The air grew colder, thicker, almost alive. At the bottom, I saw them. Not people, not creatures, just shadows, moving, breathing, waiting. One shadow drifted forward, more solid than the rest. It spoke, voice like the wind through dry leaves. You were always one of us. We never left. My heart froze. I asked, What are you? The shadow smiled, or the closest thing to it. The forgotten beneath the forgotten. The basement that was never filled. We are the echoes of this place. Then I understood. The basement wasn't sealed. It was hidden. They never wanted us to find them. The real experiment was never over. And now, I was part of it. The shadows reached out. I turned to run, but the walls closed in. The whispers became a roar. Welcome home! I woke up at my desk. My boots were wet. The timestamp on the building's security feed showed I'd been gone for over an hour. But no one saw me leave Wayne C, an afraid elevator door. Still locked, but the maintenance panel was open again, and the red light was gone. Sometimes at night, I hear that whisper again, right outside my door. You belong here now, and I don't know if I ever really left. Behind the pharmacy glass. You'd think working the night shift at a small-town pharmacy would be boring. For a while, it was. I took the job last winter. I had just moved back to my hometown in western Pennsylvania after my dad passed. Couldn't afford much, so I took what I could get. Stocking shelves and handling late-night pickups at Medway Pharmacy, the same one where I used to get bubblegum-flavored antibiotics as a kid. The town was sleepy, the kind of place where people still leave their doors unlocked and complain about too many newcomers when someone from 2 towns over moves in. So when I started, it was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that makes you realize how loud fluorescent lights really are when you're the only one under them. By midnight, the place would go dead. No customers, no calls. Just me and the hum of the cooler where the insulin and eye drops were kept. I'd dust, restock, clean the counters, wipe down the glass at the prescription counter, rinse it, and repeat. But then, almost exactly 3 weeks in, it started. It was a Tuesday night. I remember that because it was snowing, and Tuesdays are usually the most dead. Around 3:33 a.m., the motion sensor alarm went off. I nearly jumped out of my chair. The notification flashed on the small monitor behind the counter. Prescription storage? Motion detected now. This part of the pharmacy is locked up tight. Heavy glass window. Door requires a digital keycard. Only the pharmacist and I have access. I thought maybe I'd left the door ajar or maybe a mouse got in. We're next to a bakery and sometimes pests slip in during winter. I walked over expecting nothing, but the light in the back was on. That was the first odd thing. It has a timer switch. I always shut it off before 2. I remember doing it. The second odd thing, the little pill counting tray, you know, the blue one with the curved lip, was sitting out on the counter. I hadn't used it. In fact, I distinctly remembered putting it away during cleanup. I opened the door, stepped in, checked the room. Nothing. No boxes knocked over. No signs of forced entry. Just an eerie stillness, like the air was heavier than before. I turned off the light, locked the door, and figured it must have been a glitch. Except it kept happening. Every single night, 3:33 a.m., like clockwork. Always the same. Motion detected, light on, pill tray out. Sometimes a drawer was left open. One night, a bottle of hydrocodone was sitting out. Cap sealed, label intact. But I knew I hadn't touched it. I started getting nervous. I brought it up to Raj, the head pharmacist, the next morning. He laughed it off. Probably the old wiring, he said. Or your brain playing tricks on you in that graveyard silence. You sure you're not sleepwalking on the job? I laughed along. But the truth? I started dreading that hour. I even tried staying in the back near the door, but the motion detector never went off when I was watching. Only when I stepped away. It was like it was waiting. Then, last Thursday, I'll never forget it. I got my answer. It had snowed hard that evening. The kind of snow that absorbs all sound, makes everything feel like you're inside a padded cell. Not a single customer came in after 11 p.m. I was wiping down the front counter when the motion sensor pinged. 3:33 a.m. Sharp. I walked over with a kind of numb, resigned dread. The light was on again, and the pill tray was out. But this time, something was different. The glass window, the one that separates the counter from the prescription area, was fogged up from the inside. Just a faint layer of moisture, like someone had been breathing close to it. And written in that fog, as clear as day, was my name. Froze. I wasn't breathing. My legs felt like concrete. I didn't write it. No one else was there. The only way to reach that glass from the inside was to physically be inside the storage area. And the door was still locked. My keycard hadn't been used. I checked the logs later. I backed away slowly, heart pounding in my throat, and called Raj. He didn't answer. I called the local police, just in case someone had broken in somehow. When the officer arrived 10 minutes later, the fog was gone. So was the writing. The back was locked up like nothing had happened. He gave me a look like I was wasting his time. But he humored me. We reviewed the security footage together, and that's when I nearly lost it. At 3:33 a.m., the lights behind the glass flicked on. The motion sensor triggered, but no one was there. No human. Nothing at all. Except there was a moment. Just a second or two. A shadow moved across the back wall. Something tall, thin, almost hunched. No features, just the outline. And then it disappeared. The cop said it was probably a glitch or a trick of the light. He didn't see what I saw. But what really got to me was what came next. When I rewound the footage just a bit more, I noticed something I hadn't expected. At 3:32 a.m., just before the sensor went off, the digital logs showed a prescription being accessed, one that I didn't touch. And worse, it was filled under my name. I couldn't sleep when I got home that morning. The second I closed my eyes, all I saw was that fogged glass, my name written in it like a signature, like someone, or something, wanted me to know it was aware of me. I called Raj again around noon. "Hey," I said, trying to sound casual. "Do you know anything about a prescription being filled last night under my name?" There was a pause. "What do you mean under your name? Like, for you?" "No," I said. "Logged in as me. Like I processed something. But I didn't. It shows on the system as if I filled a script." Raj laughed again, but this time, it was thinner. "That's impossible," he said. "Only I can authorize fills. And you're not even licensed to dispense. I would have to override that personally." "Well," I said, "check the log." He did. I heard him typing. Then, silence. When he spoke again, his voice was different. It's a controlled medication, he said. Old school antidepressant. Fluoxetine. 20 me 60 tablets. That's not even something we usually fill, I replied. No, he muttered. It's a really old file. It's archived. My stomach turned. He sent me the archived patient file through our internal system. And that's when the air left the room. The name on the prescription? Margaret Elkins. It didn't hit me at first, until I saw the birth date. August 2nd, 1971. My mother's birthday. My mother died when I was 5. I don't remember much about her. Dad didn't like to talk about it. I only knew she had struggled with depression. That her death had been hard on him. But I had never known her name was listed in this pharmacy's files. I called Raj again, voice shaking. This is a joke, right? You're messing with me? I swear to God I'm not, he said. But there's something weirder. Look at the emergency contact. I scrolled to the bottom of the profile. Emergency contact. Emily Elkins. Me. I wasn't even born when this prescription was written. The file was last updated in 2007. But my name? It wasn't added then. The record said it was updated last night at 3:33 a.m. It didn't make sense. The system requires fingerprint or passcode authorization. Only Raj or I could have touched it, but I hadn't. I know I hadn't. I started digging. I pulled the old prescription logs for Margaret Elkins. I looked through the digital archives, flipping through records we were never supposed to meet again. And then I found the note, handwritten, scanned, faint. Patient requested script be refilled in case of return. Status, deceased. Date March 11th, 2008. Return from where? I whispered. That night, I almost didn't go in, but some part of me needed to face it. The pharmacy was even quieter than usual. No snow, no wind, just an eerie stillness in the air. I didn't turn on the radio, didn't clean. I just sat in the chair at the front, eyes locked on the monitor, watching the time crawl toward 3:33, 3:33, 31, 3:32. Then the light flicked on. 3:33 a.m. Motion detected, but this time I didn't freeze. I stood. Walked to the back. The door was locked, but inside, the light buzzed softly, and the glass was fogging again. This time, no name. Just a shape like a smudged fingerprint from the inside, tracing lazy spirals in the condensation. I slid my keycard. The door beeped open. The air inside was cold. Too cold. I could see my breath fog in front of me. No vents were on. I hadn't touched the thermostat. It was like I'd walked into a meat locker. And then I saw it, sitting neatly on the prescription counter. A white pill bottle. No label. I picked it up with trembling fingers and unscrewed the cap. Inside were exactly 60 pale green tablets. Fluoxetine. Same batch number as the one in the log. Suddenly, a soft click behind me. The door had closed. I rushed back to it. Unlocked. But I swear, I didn't hear it move. And on the inside of the glass now, there was a reflection. Mine, and behind me, something else. A figure, woman-shaped, thin, wearing what looked like a hospital gown. I turned, heart ready to split in two, and nothing was there. The glass was clear again. I ran out. I didn't care about protocol. I locked the entire pharmacy and waited in my car until the sun came up. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. That afternoon, I drove to the county records office and requested my mother's death certificate. And that's when it all clicked. Margaret Elkins, deed, in 2008. Not when I was 5. Not in 1998. That's just what my dad told me. Her official cause of death? Death ruled undetermined. Disappearance after voluntary admission. Body never recovered. She had been a patient. Here, in town. She'd gone missing. In the middle of a treatment cycle for depression. The doctor on the report, Dr. Harold Rajan. Raj's father. I confronted him the next day. He didn't deny it. My dad ran the pharmacy for 30 years, he said. There were a few unusual cases back then. Patients who didn't quite stay gone. What does that mean? I asked. He just looked at me. Some things linger, Emily. Especially grief. Especially when you never say goodbye. I quit that night. I haven't been back since. But sometimes, around 3:33 a.m., I get a push notification from the pharmacy's app. Your prescription is ready for pickup. I've deleted the app 6 times. It keeps reinstalling. And the last notification didn't just have my name. It had a note. Bring this home. Close for the night. I never used to be scared of working late. I'm 24. I took the night closing shift at a fast food joint near the edge of town. Just me and a skeleton crew most nights. It was easy money. Plus, I liked the quiet. I didn't mind wiping down greasy counters with a podcast in my ears while the fryers hissed in the background. The only annoying part? The drive-through. We technically shut it at 2 a.m., but there was always some drunk or desperate college kid who'd pull up at 2, 1, and start yelling for nuggets. I just ignore them and keep cleaning. Most nights, they'd leave after a few minutes, but then it wasn't cars anymore. It was knocking, and it always came after 2 a.m. At first, I thought it was just some idiot on foot messing around. You'd hear a soft tap 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 on the drive-through window, but when you looked, no one was there. You'd even check the camera feed. Nothing. No shadows. No movement. Just an empty parking lot lit by yellow halogen lights buzzing in the dark. The first few times I laughed it off. Maybe a tree branch or wind knocking something loose. But it kept happening. Every night I worked. Always 3 knocks. Always after 2 a.m. No variation. And sometimes it didn't come from outside. Sometimes it sounded like it was inside the kitchen. Like the knock had echoed off the stainless steel from behind me. Once, I even checked the walk-in freezer, thinking someone had snuck in. Nothing. No more daring. The weird part, the others heard it too. One night, Sam, the fry guy, was grabbing trash bags from the back when the knocking happened again. He came running out, face pale, said someone was out there by the dumpster. But when we checked the cameras, no one. That night, he left early and never picked up another closing shift again. I stayed because part of me didn't believe it. Not really. But that changed last Thursday. We were short-staffed, so I was totally alone. Just me and the buzzing lights, the fryers winding down, and the quiet hum of the soda machine. 2:00 a.m. came and went. I was wiping the counter near the register when I heard it again. But this time, it was louder, closer. I froze. My hands were wet, still holding a damp rag. I remember how it dripped onto the floor, slow and steady, as I turned toward the window. The lot was completely still. I stepped around the counter and approached slowly. The window was locked, of course. We always slide the glass to the side to serve people in their cars. From that angle, you can see the whole lot, the drive-through lane, and even the edge of the woods that line the far side of the property. Nothing. I put my face close to the glass, squinting into the dark. That's when I noticed the grease marks. On the outside of the glass, finger streaks. Thin. Too thin. like someone had dragged claw-like fingers across the window. 4 long smudges, but no thumb. I stepped back. Then I heard the knock again, but this time from the inside freezer. I swear I felt the temperature drop. My skin goosebumped like I had just stepped into a walk-in cooler. The entire kitchen felt wrong, like it wasn't empty anymore. I grabbed my phone, called our manager, Anthony. "Dude," I whispered, "I think someone's screwing around out here. Can you check the live cam from your phone?" He groaned, clearly half asleep. "All right, give me a second." I waited, eyes still locked on the window. "Okay," he said after a minute. "I'm watching. It's just you? You sure?" "Yeah, wait, hang on. What the hell?" My stomach dropped. "What? Did you go outside just now?" "No, I'm standing by the window." Pause. "There's someone standing at the drive-through window right now, dude. I can see it on my feed. It's you." I felt cold drain through me like water in my veins. "I'm telling you," he said. "You're standing at the window. Same hat. Same apron. Smiling." What the hell is this? My knees went weak because I was standing at the window. But I wasn't smiling. And I sure as hell wasn't outside. I dropped the phone, ran to the back, flipped the monitor onto the camera feed. And there it was. Something, wearing my face, standing perfectly still outside the drive-thru, smiling wide, too wide, like the corners of its mouth didn't know where to stop. And then, on the screen, it raised its hand and knocked. I tore out of there, locked the front, locked the back, hid behind the fryers until morning. When Anthony came in at 6 a.m., I told him everything. We checked the footage together. The figure's face, blurred. But the body, the posture, identical to mine. Except for one thing. At exactly 2:41 a.m., the camera caught me, sliding the drive-through window open. Nothing visible was handed over. Just my arm reaching out, like I was giving someone something. Or maybe offering something. And here's the thing. I don't remember that. I swear I never touched the window. But the logs don't lie. The system registered an open. One that lasted exactly 13 seconds. I didn't sleep the next day. Even with every curtain drawn. Even with the door locked and phone silenced. I couldn't get that image out of my head. Me, outside the drive-through window. Smiling, reaching, and the way the camera glitched, just enough to blur the face but leave everything else crisp. It was like whatever that thing was didn't want to be clearly seen. I didn't go in that night. I called out sick. But when I stepped out of the shower around 10 p.m., I caught a glimpse of myself in the bathroom mirror, and I froze. There was a mark on my shoulder. A bite. Not deep, but clear enough. Top and bottom impressions. Too wide to be human. The shape was off, like the teeth were uneven. The skin around it was slightly discolored, almost grayish blue, like it had been there for days, even though I knew it hadn't been there yesterday. I stared at it for a long time, tried to convince myself it was some weird bruise or pressure from the way I'd slept, or maybe I'd bumped something. But it didn't feel like any bruise I'd ever had. It tingled. Not pain exactly, more like a static buzz under the skin. I didn't tell anyone. How do you explain a bite mark you don't remember getting? One that feels like it's still there, even when you're not touching it. The next day, Anthony texted me. "Weird question. Did you come in late last night, after hours?" I replied no. "You sure?" Motion detector picked someone up at 2:41 again. Same spot, drive-through. He sent me a clip from the feed. It was me again. Or something that looked like me. Same build, Same apron. Standing by the window, still as a statue. Just watching. Even through the grainy night cam, you could tell it wasn't right. The head was tilted too far to one side, like the neck didn't understand limits. And then it smiled. Too wide. This time, it held something. A hood bag, like the ones we use for to-go orders. It lifted it slowly toward the glass, then placed it carefully on the window ledge, and vanished. Just gone. One frame it's there, next frame. Empty. Anthony thought I was screwing around. Asked if I had a twin or something. I didn't respond, because something about that scene felt horribly familiar. I checked my trash bin, and sure enough, my old uniform apron was gone. I had tossed it in there the day after the first incident. It had been covered in grease and something else. Something that smelled wrong. Not food, not oil. More like wet earth and iron. But the apron was gone, and I hadn't taken it out. I started locking every door, every window in my apartment. Slept with the lights on. That bite mark. It got darker, and sometimes I'd catch myself scratching at it, like it was trying to open. One night, around 2:45, I woke up to the sound of my door buzzer. Just 3 short buzzes. I crept out of bed, heart thudding, checked the peephole. No one was there, but on my doorstep was a fast food bag. One of ours. I opened it, hands shaking. Inside was a receipt. No items. Just a line written in the note section. You left your window open. And suddenly I remembered. Not the whole night. Just flashes. Me, standing at the drive-thru, staring into the dark. The sound of wind. Or breathing. That thing standing just out of reach. Its mouth opening wider than should be possible. And me, smiling back, not out of fear, but recognition. I started researching. Old urban legends, missing persons near our town, any story that matched. Found a Reddit thread about people meeting themselves during late night shifts. A theory that between 2 and 3 a.m., if you work alone, something might come to take your place. Not all at once. Gradually, piece by piece. The bite, a starting point. It doesn't want to kill you. It wants to be you. Last night was the final straw. I couldn't sleep, so I stayed up. Watched the drive-through cam feed remotely. Anthony had given me the login, mostly as a joke. At exactly 2:41 a.m., the camera activated. This time the figure wasn't outside. It was inside, standing at the fryer station, wearing my uniform, scrubbing the counters with its back to the camera, perfectly mimicking how I move. Even humming the song I always hum when I close up. Then it turned, faced the camera, and smiled. And this time, its face was clear, because it was my face. No blur, no glitch, but off. The eyes didn't blink. The teeth were all the same size, and under the collar of the shirt, just barely peeking out, was a bite mark, exactly where mine had been. The creature didn't just want to copy me. It had already started becoming me, and when it smiled, the feed froze, then crashed. I unplugged everything, punched the wall, cried, because I knew I couldn't go back. Not to the restaurant, not to normal life. I left town the next day, deleted all my accounts, burned the apron, but I still feel it. That static buzz beneath my skin, like something borrowed, is still inside me. And this morning, I woke up with grease on my hands. The receipt was on my kitchen counter again. Same handwriting. Thanks for the shift. I'll take the next one too.